The scent of stale coffee and the quiet rumble of the town's bus were the soundtrack to Martha's mornings now. At 58, she'd been a widow for 5 years, the comfortable rhythm of her life with her husband Thomas, replaced by a different, more solitary beat. After Thomas passed, the large house felt too empty, and the bills, once manageable on their combined income, became a source of quiet worry. She'd taken a job at the local bus station cafe, early mornings, late nights, pouring coffee and warming pastries for travelers passing through Havenwood. It wasn't the life she'd envisioned, not the retirement filled with gardening and visiting grandchildren, but it was honest work, and it paid the rent. Her real hope, the fragile thread she clung to, was a potential job in the city. A small, reputable publishing house was looking for an office manager. It was a long shot, a position that required skills she hadn't used in years, but it offered a stable salary, benefits, a chance to stand on her own 2 feet again. The interview was scheduled for tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp, in their downtown office, a 2-hour train ride away. The last train that would get her there in time to check into a modest motel and get a few hours of rest left Havenwood at 6:45 p.m. Missing it wasn't an option. Martha kept glancing at the clock above the counter. 6:35 p.m. Just 10 minutes. Her shift ended at 6:40, plenty of time. She mentally ran through her checklist. Travel bag packed by the door, train ticket tucked safely in her wallet, directions to the motel printed out. She just had to finish up, lock the cafe, and make the 5-minute dash to the station across the square. The cafe was quiet, only a few stragglers left. Martha wiped down the counter, her movements efficient and practiced. Suddenly, the bell above the door jingled, and a customer walked in. A young woman, maybe in her early 20s, her face pale and drawn, her eyes wide with a mixture of panic and exhaustion. "Excuse me," the young woman stammered, her voice shaky. Are you still open? I know you're about to close, but I was wondering. I missed the last bus, and I don't have any money for a taxi, and I'm trying to get to Meadow Creek, and I don't know what to do." Her voice trailed off, and she looked close to tears. Martha's heart went out to her. She remembered what it felt like to be young and lost and broke. But the clock read 6:37. Her train. "Oh, dear," Martha said kindly, walking towards her. "Meadow Creek is quite a ways, and the last bus left 20 minutes ago." She glanced at the clock again. 6:38. "I know," the young woman whispered, tears welling up now. "I messed up. I was supposed to meet someone, and I got delayed, and now I don't know anyone here, and I don't have anywhere to go, and I—" She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Martha's stomach clenched. Her train, her interview, her one chance. But the young woman looked utterly desperate, stranded and alone in a strange town as darkness was falling. Thomas, bless his soul, would have stopped without a second thought. He always helped anyone in need, no matter the inconvenience. 6:39. "All right, dear," Martha said, making a swift decision that felt both terrifying and undeniably right. She walked around the counter. "Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay." She grabbed a paper cup, poured the last of the coffee, and added a splash of milk. "Here," she said, handing it to her. "Have some coffee. You look frozen." The young woman took the cup, her hands trembling. "Thank you," she mumbled, her voice muffled. 6:40. The clock above the counter seemed to mock her. The train was leaving now. Her chance was gone. Martha sighed, a quiet, settling breath. She wasn't going to make the train. The interview was likely lost. But the panic on the young woman's face was slowly easing as she sipped the warm coffee. "What's your name, dear?" Martha asked, sitting down at a small table. "Lily," the young woman replied softly. "My name is Lily." "Well, Lily," Martha said, "my name is Martha. Now let's figure out what we can do." She spent the next hour with Lily. Lily explained she was meeting her grandmother in Meadow Creek the next day, her first visit in years after a family misunderstanding. She'd taken a part-time job to save up for the trip, but a mix-up with her shift had made her late, and her phone battery had died, so she couldn't call anyone. She had just enough money for the bus ticket, but nothing for a hotel. Martha's mind raced. She couldn't take Lily home with her. Her small apartment barely had room for herself. The bus station closed at 9 p.m. Lily would be out on the street. All right, Martha said, making another decision, this one just as daunting as missing the train. There's a small guest house just down the street. It's clean and quiet. I'll, I'll get you a room for the night. Lily's eyes widened. Oh, I couldn't ask you to do that. You've already done so much. Nonsense, Martha said, standing up. You need a safe place to stay. I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing you were out there. She walked to the counter, opened the till, and looked at the meager tips she had earned that week, combined with the small amount of cash she carried for emergencies. It was enough for one night at the guest house, maybe a cheap breakfast. It was her grocery money for the next week, maybe more. But she couldn't leave Lily. She paid for the room at the guest house, walked Lily there, made sure she was settled, and promised to check on her in the morning before Lily caught the first bus. As she walked back to her own quiet apartment, the weight of her missed opportunity pressed down on her. She was exhausted, the clock ticking past her usual bedtime. The interview felt like a distant, impossible dream. What had she done? She had sacrificed her potential future for a stranger. She barely slept, her mind replaying the events of the evening, oscillating between regret for her lost chance and a quiet certainty that she had done the right thing. The next morning, she woke up stiff and unrested. She quickly dressed and went to the guest house. Lily was waiting, looking much better after a night's sleep, though still worried. Martha bought her a modest breakfast at a small diner, gave her a few extra dollars for food on her journey, and walked her to the bus stop. Thank you, Martha, Lily said, her eyes filled with gratitude. You saved me last night. I don't know what I would have done. Just take care, dear, Martha said, giving her a hug. Have a good trip to Meadow Creek. I hope you and your grandmother have a wonderful reunion. As the bus pulled away, Martha felt a fresh wave of sadness. She walked slowly back to the bus station cafe, the town feeling somehow quieter, her own life feeling just a little emptier. The interview was happening right now without her. She spent the morning on autopilot, pouring coffee, serving the usual travelers. Around noon, the phone rang. It was an unknown number with a city area code. Probably a telemarketer, she thought, almost not answering. Hello? She said, her voice weary. Good afternoon. Is this Martha Adams? A pleasant professional voice asked. Yes, this is Martha. Martha, this is Mr. Thompson from Sterling Publishing, the voice said. Martha's heart leaped. Sterling Publishing? The interview? Oh, she stammered. Mr. Thompson, I am so terribly sorry. I missed my train yesterday evening. There was an unexpected delay, and I wasn't able to make it this morning. I completely understand if the position has been filled, but I wanted to apologize. Please, Martha, don't apologize. Mr. Thompson interrupted gently. That's actually why I'm calling. Martha was confused. It is? Yes, he said. You see, my mother was traveling yesterday. She was supposed to be on the 6:45 train from Havenwood, connecting to the bus to Meadow Creek to visit her sister. She's elderly and sometimes a little confused, but fiercely independent and insisted on traveling alone. She missed her connection in Havenwood due to a delay earlier in her journey. She called me this morning, a little flustered, explaining what happened. Martha listened, a strange sense of premonition washing over her. She told me she was stranded at the station, alone, and feeling quite lost. Mr. Thompson continued. And she told me about a kind woman, a guardian angel she called her, who works at the bus station cafe. A woman named Martha, who missed her own important train to help her, who paid for a guest house room out of her own pocket, who stayed with her until she was settled, and made sure she got on her bus this morning. Mr. Thompson's voice grew warm with emotion. Martha, my mother, Eleanor, spoke so highly of you. She was so touched by your selflessness. She said you told her you were on your way to a big interview, your big chance, and you gave it up to help her. Tears streamed down Martha's face now, silent and unexpected. Eleanor, the kind elderly woman at the station, Mr. Thompson's mother. I have your resume right here, Martha, Mr. Thompson said. Your qualifications are certainly impressive, but my mother's story, it tells me more about your character than any resume ever could. He paused. Character is everything, Martha. especially in a position where you'll be dealing with people, coordinating a team. Someone who shows that kind of compassion and integrity, even when no one important is watching, is exactly the kind of person I want running my office. Martha could barely speak. Mr. Thompson, the position is yours, Martha, he said, if you still want it. My mother made sure I knew why you weren't here this morning. And frankly, your reason for being late speaks volumes. I'd like you to start as soon as possible. Martha accepted the job, her voice thick with gratitude and disbelief. She hung up the phone, still trembling, looking out at the quiet square, at the bus station across the way, at the train tracks beyond. Her life wasn't over. Her chance wasn't lost. It had been redirected. Delayed, perhaps, but ultimately delivered to her, not despite her act of kindness, but because of it. She moved to the city, started her new job, and found it was everything she had hoped for and more. Mr. Thompson was a fair and appreciative boss, and her colleagues were welcoming. She settled into a comfortable routine, regaining the stability she had lost, and she stayed in touch with Eleanor. She called her, visited her in Meadow Creek, building a warm and unexpected friendship with the kind elderly woman who had, in a way, been her angel at the station. Eleanor loved hearing about Martha's new job, proud of the part she had played in it. Martha learned that Eleanor, too, had faced hardships and unexpected turns in her life, and that her belief in the power of kindness stemmed from her own experiences. They shared stories, laughter, and the quiet comfort of a bond forged in a moment of vulnerability and compassion. Martha never forgot that cold evening at the bus station cafe, the young woman named Lily, the missed train, and the kind elderly woman who turned out to be so much more than a stranger in need. She had worried she had sacrificed her future, but in reality she had been investing in it, planting those seeds of kindness the old man spoke of, and finding that the harvest was richer and more abundant than she could have ever dreamed. Her quiet act of generosity had not only helped another soul, but had unexpectedly led her to the very place she needed to be, proving that sometimes when life feels like a series of wrong turns, the most important journey is the one guided by the simple, unwavering compass of a good heart.